The final panel of the day. I'm your host, Ian Sigalow. I'm a partner and co-founder of Greycroft here in New York. With me on the panel today are Stacey Bishop. This is in not necessarily the order that are up there, but Stacey Bishop, partner at Scale Venture Partners. Stacey focuses on growth stage enterprise companies, Series B and beyond. Her portfolio includes HubSpot, Omniture, and Namely here in New York City. Izhar Armony, who's a general partner at CRV. Izhar focuses on early stage enterprise companies, typically entering at the Series A. He's been at CRV for 20 years and in recent years took RPX public and sold GrabCAD to Stratasys. He's based in Boston. Alex Bard, managing director at Redpoint Ventures. Alex is a reformed entrepreneur and joined Redpoint as a partner this year. His focus is on early stage enterprise and SaaS investments, as well as Moon Express, which from what I gather takes people to the moon. It says that on your profile, at least on some
It doesn't take people to the moon. It'll be a gas station on the moon, but it
gas
has to do with the
station
moon.
on the moon. All right, and we'll talk more about that. And Michael Brown, general partner at Battery Ventures. Michael joined Battery in 1998 and focuses across a wide range of stages, but most often participates in growth stage rounds. And Michael has perhaps the most diverse portfolio of this group, ranging from men's clothing at J. Hilburn to Trade King and Presidian Investments. So I'm going to start this off with a question. You know, it used to be the case that VCs only funded companies within a half-hour drive of their office. That was the joke. And in New York in 2006, we'd meet with companies here, and firms from Boston and San Francisco would come down and say, "You have a great company, but I'm only funding you if you move." So what's changed? And you know, I'll let you kick this off, Michael, since you know you've been investing in New York for a long time, and we'll go from there.
Is this on? No. It is. I don't know if it's. I think that was really a Silicon Valley kind of construct. You know, we have a saying internally: differentiate yourself by getting on an airplane. And some of our best deals have been in random places, like Indianapolis. Right. We had 3 big outcomes in Indy. And so we've had a philosophy all along of get on a plane, go to where the companies are, and now with distributed teams, you can build a company anywhere. And so I don't know if anything's really changed, with the exception of people in Silicon Valley maybe flying, but I think for the rest of us that have lived outside of Silicon Valley, it's been kind of the norm for quite some time.
Well, Stacey, you live in Silicon Valley, so.
Yeah, so we too have also invested all over the U.S. and have had great successes outside the U.S. But I was thinking more, maybe it's a power dynamic that we as the VCs don't have that power anymore to say, hey, to take our money, you have to move to be close to me. I think it's changed. Like we're having to chase the companies now to put money into them. So I think it's a different world. I feel like it's competitive out there. You've got to, go to the company. I mean, we're frequently taking first meetings at the company's office, not them coming to us. That's more the norm now, perhaps, than maybe what it was. So I think it's a power dynamic shift. So good for entrepreneurs.
Makes our business harder, too. So, Izhar, when you look over time in terms of where returns have been generated for CRV by geography, how is that changing? Because this dynamic is clearly changing in terms of funding companies and getting on airplanes. What does that look like 5 or 10 years from now?
We are historically from Boston. The name was Charles River Ventures, and we've had actually a very good run from 1970 to, I would say, 1999 in Boston only. But we do see how the industry changes, and by now, I would say 75% of our investments are on the West Coast, and maybe even 10% in Israel. And those territories for us have generated better returns than Boston. To answer your prior question, I would say my answer from a Boston perspective, that Boston has become a little bit like France, which is a great place to live in, but not a great place to work at.
Michael, would you second that?
No comment.
It's a good place to live.
Correct.
Okay. I can. All right.
Speechless.
And this is going to go off topic really quick. So, Alex, a question for you, since you've been a VC since this year.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you can provide a comment about what it's like making that transition as an entrepreneur recently to a VC, and just how decisions are made, in particular at Redpoint, and you're coming up to speed in the process and getting deals done as a new partner.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'll answer the first question too, and then I'll sort of come back to this one. I think knowledge and skills are moving faster than they ever have before, which is why you're seeing great companies being started everywhere. And in terms of getting on a plane, I mean, for me, in terms of my last entrepreneurial career, I ran a company that was based in Sydney, San Francisco, and London. And I spent the better part of 3 years every single month being on a plane to Sydney, which is much further than coming to New York from the Bay Area. So I think I plan to spend a lot of time here. And I think there are really great opportunities here. In terms of sort of the transition from, operator to VC, it's been fascinating. I mean, I think the first thing that I've done is spend a ton of time with founders, and I still can't believe I get paid actually to meet with founders and get a view into the future, through the lens of somebody who's really passionate about it, which I think is incredibly exciting. Had I known that, I may have done the transition sooner. You guys say it's really hard. I know it is, but it's really exciting too. And then I also meet with a lot of other investors to not only build my own network, but to sort of interview investors and get their insights and feedback. And I'll share sort of this, and I'd love to get your guys' perspective on this. The advice that I've gotten, not only from my own partnership, but also sort of external investors, both earlier stage, same stage, and later stage, has two consistencies. One is luck plays a meaningful role. I hear that all the time. That's one consistency. The other consistency is how inconsistent the rest of the advice is. In fact, not only is it inconsistent, but it's contradictory from, don't do a deal in your first year, wait, you want to sort of start to pattern match and get a better sense for it before you dive into, as an operator, you are perceived as an operator and you get a halo from that from other entrepreneurs who want to raise money, and the half-life is pretty short. So, I mean, it's just really incredible how varied the advice is, and I think the root of that is there's no single way to do this. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and I think ultimately at the end it comes down to how you connect with an entrepreneur and how excited you can become about the mission that entrepreneur has. And that's kind of how I think about it, and that's how Redpoint invests. We don't have a consensus partnership. It literally takes 2 partners out of 7 to make a decision. And in fact, we have something called a silver bullet, where if you're in a meeting with an entrepreneur and you fall in love, you can just make the investment decision right there.
Of any check size.
That's right.
How big is your fund?
Well, let me sort of clarify.
For the LPs in the audience.
Let me sort of clarify that. We have 2 funds, right? We have an early stage fund and a late stage fund. That comment is much more specific to the early stage fund, but those are A's and B's.
Yeah. Stacey, how about you? How does it work at scale?
We're much more consensus driven, and usually what happens is I think about it when a deal's going to die, is people just start poking holes in it and kind of picking it apart. We've actually gotten better at that, but generally the partner gets to the point and just realizes the consensus isn't there.
It's a lot easier to do that than to tell
back.
people that this deal stinks. You just say, how about you come back with these 47 points of analysis?
Yeah.
Because we've got
Though we used to be more like that. We've gotten better, but I do
Okay.
remember years past, like people going, well, on this page 2 of the model, it looks, and anyway, we've been much more point blank about it. And we actually implemented a voting system about a year ago. Not that it's a yay or nay, but it's sort of to give guidance and mostly to also make sure the voices of our associates and principals get heard, because we worry that maybe somebody's voice is too dominant in the room and maybe be sort of setting the tone for a particular investment. So we'll actually do a vote, and it's open, but it's blind at the time. So when it's kind of unveiled immediately, people don't know who voted that way, but you can go look in the Google Sheet and see how they voted. We'll see how it works. We've only done it for about a year, but we're just trying that out.
Izhar, I see you're nodding. So you guys do the same?
What I've observed over many years, that the really amazing investments, the unicorn, decacorn, without a fail, there is 1 or 2 super strong advocates for that, and the rest of the partnership would love not to make the investment. So the more controversy there is, but with conviction, those are the really best deals. When everyone is, yeah, this is fine, we should do that, those may be reasonable deals, maybe not, but they're never great deals. So I love the kind of bringing the associates in, having other kind of perspectives, and it kind of works.
Yeah, that's been our experience as well. The more controversial deals are the better, and our decision-making is very distributed. It's even beyond Redpoint's, where the deal lead has the ability to do a deal, right? We have an investment committee of 2 partners that generally have experience within the product market space. but they're not there to approve the deal. They're there to, as a fail-safe, so they can veto a deal, which never happens because you kind of get a sense if they're going to do it. And so it's really there to make sure there's integrity in the diligence process and the answers are getting, questions are getting asked, answers are being given, upside, downside case and all that. But at the end of the day, it's the individual deal lead that has the responsibility to make the decision because they have the most information, right? I mean, we work on projects for years. We talk to all the companies in a market, and who better to make the decision than the person that is deep into the analysis versus two people who have been looking at it for a month.
So
Yeah, one of the things, I'll just sort of add to this too, there's a concept in programming called pair programming, and it works really, really well. We do paired deal hunting, right? So there's not typically one person on a deal, it's typically two, and then you challenge one another, get deeper insights into the deal, and then present it to the partnership, so.
So-
Is that two partners
Oh,
usually?
good.
Two partners.
Okay.
So for the entrepreneurs in the room, how important is the associate
You mean the
interaction?
two remaining?
Pardon?
The two of them that remain here?
The
Most of them left.
Oh, they're all gone? Well, that's not true. Troops is here. There's a couple floating. So, yeah, how important is the associate interaction? Is it really just the partner gets to write a check, or does the associate's voice really count at your firm?
Not the right firm to ask that question.
You don't have associates?
By and large, we are check writers.
Okay.
I mean, people do have over time different economics, but we kind of